Yeah, it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm. Morning, everyone.
Welcome to the February 27th meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing our national anthem, and repeating the four-way test. I pledge allegiance to the republic one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you speak? Let's repeat the four-way test. For the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will build goodwill and better friendships.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Our invocation today is given by Joni Blackman.
Well, I had other things on my mind, so this is off the top of my head. To whomever you bow your head to. Dear Father, thank you for the beautiful sunshine over the last few days. However, you could have kept the wind down, but it was beautiful. And we thank you for all the gifts that you give to us, the food you provide, the lunch today, the hands that served us, and help us serve our community. As those who walk to help the homeless on Saturday night, thank you. And give us more ideas of what we can do to help our community. We ask that you in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Joni. Please welcome President-elect Ruth Lundeen to announce visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you, President John. Hello, okay. Look, oh, hiding in the back behind the poster. Marion Beckering has a guest, Maria Ferguson. Welcome.
Thank you, Ruth. Our Rotary yours recorded today is Rudy Andalora. Well, as always, many thanks to you and the Communications Committee for all you do to keep the club informed. Thursday, March 2nd, we have a Vision Committee meeting, a hybrid meeting, and 12 o'clock at the CRCF. Sign-ups are going around for 50-50, so please sign up. And we're also always looking for online greeters. So either send a message in chat or contact Sharon to greet online. We have a prospective new member, George Harper. Membership Committee and Board of Directors have both approved prospective member George Harper for Rotary membership. Chris Anderson is George's sponsor. As required by the club bylaws, members have 10 days to provide any written objections to the secretary about a proposed new member. If no objections are received, the membership committee will move forward with orientation. The membership committee is holding a new membership orientation March 14th. So if you have any prospective members out there, they can get their application turned in. We're going to hold March 14th at the Community Foundation, a new member orientation. Any additional announcements from committee chairs?
So I have my coldest night of the year hat on. Yay! I am so thrilled to report, well, first of all, I'm thrilled to report that the weather was wonderful. And so it was sunny and not windy. It was great. Then I'm also so excited that we had 24 walkers that included, that included people from the AM Club, from the Falconer Club, and at least 8 students from Rudy's JCC International Students Club. So it was just a great time. Please go on our Facebook page and you can see a picture of many of the walkers. It was wonderful. And all that, plus we raised over $2,600 for the cause, which was just amazing. So we reached our Rotary goal, and last time I looked, we were the #1 fundraiser for the coldest night. But the YW's program, the Transition Supportive Housing, has not yet reached their goal. So anyone who is so inclined, please let's help them reach their goal, because if they do reach the 20,000, they will get an additional dividend, because they're the percentage that the fundraising organization takes goes down at $20,000. So we're really hoping that they will make their goal. So, and also one of the things I did when I was talking to the AM and the Falconer Club is I visited the clubs, and I thought it was only appropriate that we should tell you that on March 11th, the Falconer Club is having their one of their breakfast fundraisers. And so it's at the Falcon's Nest from 7:30 to 10:30. Adults are $10, kids are 12 and under are $5, and you can get tickets at the door. I'm sure somebody from the Falconer Club will also be here to sell them at a later date, but I highly recommend support the Falconer Club because they really supported us.
Making room. Our leadership team for the next 3 years, Ruth, Marion, and Kirk, have put together a club survey. We're looking for feedback from everyone. It's important that we get input and feedback because this is the beginning of a strategic planning process for where to take the club over the next 3 years. You'll receive an email this afternoon, send you a link to the survey so you can fill it out online. Please be honest, and if you have thoughts or issues that aren't addressed in the survey, feel free to enter them in the comments box so they are recorded. The survey is anonymous. Please complete it by March 7th, which is a week from tomorrow. And we'll have paper copies at next week's meeting for anyone who would rather not fill it out online. And then we'll review the results at our April 3rd meeting. So please take it serious, fill out the survey. We want to know what your thoughts are and where you want us to take the club over the next several years. 50-50. Please get your tickets ready as we welcome Dewey Jones, today's 50-50 drive.
Can I get you to pull me out a ticket there? Oh, make sure it's a winning winner. Last 3 digits, 268. Oh.
268.
268.
268, last 3 digits.
So the winner gets $25.
25 to the winner.
And you have $25.
Give a hand for Sergeant Arms.
Good afternoon. Okay, thank you. And Dewey did his duty and he has to leave early, so he has contributed. Mark has to leave early and he has contributed, and Mark made an additional contribution because I was going to recognize the Elks Club for their donation to St. Susan's. And Mark, as we know, is a great elk. Are there any other elk members here? So thank you, Mark, for that donation. And $6,000 the club donated to St. Susan's. Looking for another person that I don't see, so we'll have to hold that off. But the Board of Public Utilities is getting a grant. I'm sure Becky would like to share some of that proceeds with us. a NYSERDA grant to help transition their fleet over to electric vehicles, to study that and figure that out. So we'll see if she wants to say anything or not. And those are the people that we're able to recognize today. Excuse me, Ruth. Closer, get her, hug this baby. Okay, got it. So, you want to say anything? Or?
Well, not really, Nick. Of course, if you give me a microphone, I'm gonna speak. That grant is actually to study the school district.
Well, Jamestown schools.
Yeah, they have to convert to electric buses by 2020 or
5,
2035.
35.
Yeah. So,
Okay, yes, got it better here. Okay, tight. Yep. Yep, the price is saving the world. I think it might be worth it. Okay, Rotarian magazine. There were some interesting articles that have come up over time. This being the unfortunate anniversary of the Ukraine invasion. Rotary disaster response grants, $10.8 million. Rotary has tried to help deal with issues over there. And I think that's very worth noting. Who might have an idea where that purposes that money went for? If you read the magazine, you'll know that. Debbie, you're trying to got any idea where that 10.8 million purposes? Okay. Well, I think I heard you say for medical expenses, a huge part for medical. Oh, okay. All right. And refugee support. Okay. And some emergency response basic needs. So here again, your foundation has stepped up to the plate, thanks to donations that you all have put into that special fund. And I'll go back to the current article. Let's see, who tells me she's always reading? Sally. You didn't read it, huh? You read it. Okay. Well, Lynn Gruel, I'm sure, reads it faithfully. Her table, Joni, your table. President-elect Gordon McNally. What can you tell me about him and this Rotary year? Yes. You read your magazine. And any idea what the Rotary theme for the upcoming year will be? Close, getting close.
I don't give a damn.
Create hope in the world. Create hope. Okay, so let's dig in there. All right, dig deep. And, so, Mr. President, you might have some honorary bucks to add to it. I don't. Happy bucks.
Happy bucks. I'll get started. I got a couple happy bucks, thanks to Ruth and all those that participated in the coldest night of the year, both fundraising and walk. And just want to say thank you in general to all our committee chairs for all the work you guys have been doing over the course of the year to make my job easy. I appreciate that. And should tell you more often, thanks for all your work, committee chairs, you guys do.
Despite what Lynn said about I don't care, this happy buck is for Lynn Gruel because she does care. At the Walk for the Coldest Night, she stepped up to be our first literacy volunteer from Rotary. So thank you, Lynn. And she's joining the Literacy Committee.
I have a happy buck because tonight we have the Salute to the Finest, recognizing many of our Jamestown area businesses for the work they do in our community. And if you are interested in joining us, let me know. I'm sure I can get you on the list, but it's going to be a great night.
I think this is a fine, because I forgot to make an announcement. So immediately following this meeting, the Rotary Book Club will be meeting in here in the dining hall, but also, right, Sally is raising up the book that we're reading, Under the Skin. And this will be our second meeting. We're taking basically a chapter every week, so people can still join it. We'll be doing this after Rotary meetings for the next 7 weeks. And if you're online, just stay online if you'd like to participate. And we will continue having the Zoom meeting also.
This is my first time I've ever won. So I'm putting 15 of it back in.
Last week, Steve, asked me if I would take over his time for literacy, delivering books. And sure, I'll go deliver the books. And so I decided to do it on, I think it was Saturday. And this was the first time this had happened to me. As I walked into one of the laundromats, there was a father leaning on a table, reading a book to his son. It was the most beautiful thing. It was the last children's book we had there. So I said, well, wait. And I ran out to the car and brought a whole bunch more. And I said, you know, take what you want, keep them, make your own library at home. But it was really, made me feel good because our libraries in the laundromats are always empty. And it's good to see the books going out of there.
It is my pleasure to welcome Dan Heitzenrader from the Program Committee to introduce our speaker.
Our speaker today is Steve Cockram from the Growers Cooperative in Westfield. Steve has had diversified roles for over 35 years in the fruit juice industry. After getting a bachelor's in chemical engineering at Cornell, Steve got his start at Seneca Foods in the 1980s, working with apples, grapes, and many other fruits and veggies. Steve spent a lot of time in the analytical world, taking apart all kinds of fruits and vegetables, and also spent time as a corporate troubleshooter and tested new equipment from all over the world. Steve then moved to Wisconsin to be a cranberry guy, go pack go. I added that, doing many of the same things for Northland Cranberries. In 2005, Steve moved to Westfield, New York, and has been at Growers Co-op for 19 years. After being technical director, getting their quality systems meeting current standards, he has been the general manager for the past 7 years. Growers finished its 93rd grape harvest last fall. After stepping down from 11 years on the Westfield School Board, with 8 of those years as president, Steve has more spare time to bike and ski, even though it doesn't always seem like it. And Steve is now serving as vice president of the Westfield Development Corporation. And I will add that the Growers Cooperative, I think, has one of the most beautiful views of Chautauqua County from the top of the juice tanks. So Steve, please come up.
Well, thank you. So I moved to Chautauqua County for economic opportunity. I've been here for 19 years. This really is an ice cream cone kind of microphone, isn't it? Back there, really close. You got to be licking it. Ruth, I need your hat for this is a very good prop. So in my short tenure here in Chautauqua County, there's a real North County, South County divide. And so I'm going to promote myself to ambassador from the North County and from the world of grapes. And so I'm going to teach you guys here in the South a little bit about what we do here in the North. So we'll first start out with saying that our lake is bigger than your lake. But you guys actually have beaches and you can put boats on it and little things like that. But it's really, really important to the North County and the grape industry why we have Lake Erie. Because the worst thing that you can have, any farmer can have, well, 2 things is one, you can have an early frost that just freezes away any sort of vegetative material. Or two, you have some little critter that comes and says, ooh, fresh salad, I'm gonna eat you up, and then your crop is gone. So what we don't want is this little hat to say the coldest night, because for grapes, 4 hours at 26 degrees, and that could toast your entire crop. Your entire income for a year is gone. So what the folks in the North County figured out as far back as the 1840s is that Lake Erie gives us some really cool weather. Here in the winter, what normally happens is that Lake Erie is the shallowest of the Great Lakes. It freezes. And so in the spring, as we're starting to somewhat warm up, all that ice in Lake Erie keeps the grapes cold. The vines say, not quite ready to come out of winter hibernation. And that our winter is actually 2 weeks longer than everybody else's. And so that keeps everything out. So right now, there's 0 ice on Lake Erie. We are going to sit on pins and needles until Memorial Day or so, because we could lose our crop, and then life could get very interesting from a financial perspective. So that's Lake Erie. I was asked to let me see if we can get these people to see this. I have my bike shoes on because I'm still biking to work. How this all works, why we grow grapes in the north side of the county, and you're, cows and alfalfa and whatnot down here, is that a start? If you bike up that hill, it's significant. And what the hill does is that cold weather from Lake Erie doesn't go very far inland. About 6 miles, keeps inside. That cold air just sort of sloshes away from Lake Erie, and we have a 6-mile band inland that goes from Harbor Creek, PA, to Silver Creek, New York, and that's our grape belt. And let's talk superlatives for a second. We are the largest and the oldest Concord grape growing region in the whole world. Right here. And you're all cordially invited to head north and see it, and go do some wine tasting and all that sort of stuff. So we've been here, our Great Belt first commercial vineyards were planted in the 1840s. So we've been around for a very, very long time. People have known about our weather. It's worked. We have historically been grape juice centric. There was this guy called Thomas Welch, who was a dentist in New Jersey. I see some nods, some smiles there. He was a good Methodist, as am I, and he saw the issues that this new industrial alcohol had in the world, and it was cheap alcohol was destroying people's lives. He was a teetotaler, and he said, I'm going to get rid of all the alcohol out of my life, but he had one problem. It was communion, a church. You had to have wine in the day. And his question was, how do I get rid of wine? And he was a good dentist, so he was a student of the world, and he was reading up on Mr. Louis Pasteur's concept of the germ theory of disease. And he said, maybe if I boil my grape juice, it won't ferment. Nobody even knew what these really were at the time. He did that. He made the very first bottle of hot-filled grape juice. If you've ever been in the grocery store, you walk down the middle of the aisle, you see all these bottles of juices. The very first bottle was actually made by we in the grape industry. So we can say that was us. Charles Welch was found that this was an absolute success. There weren't enough grapes in Vineland, New Jersey, so we headed off to Watkins Glen, New York for a couple of years. There weren't enough grapes in the Finger Lakes. So he ended up in Westfield, and he kept buying more and more Concord grapes. His first plant was so successful that his second year, he doubled the size of the plant. His third year, he doubled the size of the plant again. His fourth year, he built himself a whole new plant because it just wasn't big enough. So we've been growing Concord grapes primarily for the juice industry, the jam and jelly industry. ever since. I think our history or our future, that's our history, our future is ultimately, when I cordially invite you guys to head north, I want you guys to go wine tasting, because it's all about adding value to what you grow. You go to your local, down here, you can go to your local Wegmans. You buy a bottle of Welch's purple grape juice, costs you about $5. If you head to the North Country, and you buy a bottle of sweet red table wine, that'll cost you about $10. So we do a little thought experiment, and we take our bottle of Welch's purple grape juice, take the top off, and we pour it into our little micro fermenter. We make a bunch of wine. We'll find that we have enough for one bottle of wine, and a second bottle of wine, and half of a third. So that $5 bottle of juice turns into $10, $20, $25 worth of wine. So the future of the North County is all about agritourism. It's about tasting wine. It's about going to a restaurant while you're there. Maybe we don't have a whole lot of hotels, but an Airbnb while you're there, spend the weekend. I started my life in the Finger Lakes, and I saw the wine industry explode there. The cool thing that we have that the Finger Lakes don't have, we have these cities called Cleveland and Erie and Buffalo and Pittsburgh. They're all within a day's drive. This is what's going to drive our industry in the North County. So how am I doing on time? I can keep going. Oh, lots of time. Skipping big things. What else do you want to know? In the back.
Tell us about some of the vats that we pass by in your facility and what's stored in them and about approximately how much do they store?
Tell us about the vats, the big tanks. Yes. The downside of being a raw agricultural producer. Well, actually, let me back up. Nobody ever wants to get things ahead. You go to the grocery store and buy what you need for this week. You don't buy an entire year's worth. You might buy a half of a beef or something, but you generally don't buy everything. So that all keeps going upstream. And so the raw agricultural producers have to have enough volume to hold the entire year's crop. We in the grape industry, we have a 30-day window from when the grapes are ripe until they fall off the ground and are dead. And so we have to get an entire year's worth in during that 30-day window. So when I say that we only work half days during grape harvest, yeah, I work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. That's a half a day. So we have to be able to hold all of that grape juice that we make in a very short period of time. And so we at Growers Co-op, we have about 6 million gallons of storage. The little tanks are 200,000 gallons. The big tanks are 500,000 gallons. We will fill up one of those little tanks in about 2 days' time. And that's all single strength grape juice initially. We eventually will turn it into juice concentrate. As much as the good folks from Tropicana have convinced everybody that not from concentrate orange juice is much, much better than from concentrate, much easier than those darn pesky old 3+1 concentrates you all grew up with. Water is really, really expensive to ship. And when we are shipping concentrates to literally Shanghai, they say, take the water out in Westfield and we'll put Chinese water in there and no one will know the difference. And we'll save a huge amount on freight costs. So we can't concentrate it quite fast enough in harvest, but we are trying to take as much water out as we can, and that saves on shipping costs all around.
So how many countries do you ship?
How many countries do we ship to? Korea, Japan, China, Panama, UK. And who's our biggest customer? Canada. So you name it, we'll try to ship it anywhere in the world. They all have their own rules. If you ever heard about non-economic barriers to trade, the Chinese have a 40-page document that we have to prepare for every single load heading to China. But it's good money. We'll do it. And Dan actually got to sign one of the documents I have to have signed by the local Chamber of Commerce, and my Westfield Chamber president had the audacity to go on vacation. So I had to meet up with Dan to get his signature on it. So that's
How many growers do you have?
we have 77 growers right now, about 3,500 acres under cultivation. Our grape belt in total is about 33,000 acres, so we're about a tenth of all the grapes in the grape belt go through Growers Co-op.
And then the other question I had, do you have any idea how many tourists or how many people visit the wineries? Here you should talk about grape or wine belt, I guess.
I do not know. I should know that, shouldn't I?
I have a question that, from online. Is there truth in the story that Europe lost most of the grapevines to disease back in the 1800s, and therefore the origin of all European vines have origins from the USA, as we sent our grapes to Europe for grafting purposes?
Partially true, yes. You ever get a real snobby French person? They're all based. So what happened? There's a little disease called phylloxera. The larva goes down in the ground. It munches on the roots of plants, and grapevines in particular. And Concord, I can tell you that story. Yeah, we can talk about the story that started Concord. But the Concord grew up with this phylloxera larva, and it can grow roots faster than the bug can eat them out. Now, when the traditional European grapes came over to the United States, those phylloxera larvae said, salad. And they ate off the bottom of all those, and they didn't really grow. Likewise, as the North America was being settled, there was all kinds of plants that were going east and west across the Atlantic Ocean. And we sent them our grapevines, and we also sent them phylloxera. And phylloxera went through all of Europe and destroyed every bit of rootstock in the entire continent. The only thing that saved it was the native North American grapevines. So all of the French, Spanish, Italian, German, you name it, wines are all grown on native North American rootstock. So the tops of the wine are all European, but the bottoms, the base, are all North American.
What percent of your yield goes to Welch's today?
Welch, in terms of market share, Welch's is the
In terms of the product, you're sending all over the world, but that's not all Welch, is it? Or is it?
no, we are entirely separate from Welch's.
So what part of your sales go actually to the old Welch's?
Zero.
For the current Welch's,
We are entirely independent of Welch's.
but Welch's grape jelly is not your grapes?
No.
Ah,
No. We're the little guys that keep Welch's honest. Nobody repeat that, but Welch's is the 600-pound gorilla in our industry. Their farmers deliver probably 60% of all Concord grapes to Welch organization, either New York, Pennsylvania, or Washington State. Their growers are intermixed with our growers, all within our grape belt along the Lake Erie shoreline. So I skipped over on the source of the Concord grape. Concord is one of 3 fruits that are actually native to North America. Concord, the cranberry, and the blueberry are actually the only fruits that are native to North America. Everything else you might buy in the grocery store came from somewhere else. Johnny Appleseed, well, the apples didn't come from here, they came from Kazakhstan. So in the 1840s, there was a crazy guy in Concord, Massachusetts. Now remember your Revolutionary War history. Concord, Massachusetts was what? Shot was heard around the world. Kudos. Bunch of crazy guys who thought they could take on the biggest military in the world. They said, yeah, we'll do that. Mr. Thoreau headed Walden Pond was there in Concord, Massachusetts as well. And there was this crazy guy called Ephraim Bull who said, you know, these native grapevines that grow in the trees, there's some flavor there, but it's not quite right. And so this guy spent 10 years making 20,000 hand cross-pollinated grapevines, and eventually he came up with this one that he said, this is the flavor I like. And he called it after his hometown, and he called it the Concord grape. People got really excited about it. They're paying big bucks for cuttings. The downside is all you need is one little 6-inch snippet of the grapevine, and you stick it in the ground and a new vine grows. So Mr. Ephraim Bull's epitaph says he grew, others reaped. But we have been beneficiary of his choice of flavor profile ever since.
It's not me, but somebody at our table wants to know where to buy one of these fermentors.
Where to buy a fermenter?
Yeah, where do you purchase these things where I can take your grape juice and make it into wine?
What scale do you want to do it at?
Well, if Kevin 6 fees on, Kevin, can that be our new fundraiser? Do you do a lot of business with Refresca?
Not a whole lot, no. Pretty much Welch has their own set of farmers and supply them. Growers, we have our own set. Refresco has their own set of farmers. Gallo and Canandaigua, New York, pull some grapes from our area down to theirs. What else?
Another question, what brands do your grapes about? Like, for instance, I used to buy Welch's because I thought they came from Westfield, but do you have certain brands that your grapes go to?
Many of our products will go into store brand purple grape juice, or they'll go into store brand grape jelly, grape jam. So from a retail perspective, you really don't know who we are, which is okay. A lot simpler not dealing with retail. Look at all those nods there.
You know, if you wouldn't mind sharing, Steve, too, you have started processing other fruits and things. And I remember, was there a maple product maybe at one point?
We've tried to do stuff. So when you're a seasonal operation, you have lots and lots of equipment. For us, that we really only use 30 days out of the year. And if you have really expensive equipment that sits around for 11 months out of the year, that's a horrible use of your capital dollars. So one of the things that our board of directors has charged me and the whole organization is how do you use that equipment to make us a couple of pennies here and there? And so in the off season, we process all kinds of other fruits, cherries in July, blueberries in August. Very recently, we're doing apples out of cold storage here in the winter time, and just trying to run the plant and make a couple of pennies while we're running the plant. And so yeah, you think that we're not doing anything for the 11 months out of the year, but yeah, I'm the taskmaster who says, yeah, we got more apple coming in today.
And just a simple question, I assume that's all juice products from the things that you bring in.
Can be juice, can be a whole fruit. That in general, from how does the farmer make money? The farmer always makes more money when they can sell fresh fruit. You imagine blueberries, for example. Fresh blueberries will bring the farmer the most money. The blueberries for, say, blueberry muffins or fruit salad brings the farmer a little more money, or a little less money rather. And all of those misshapen, greenish, not quite so good ones, they end up with us in the juice world. And they make the farmer the least amount of money, but it's better than having to compost them. So we will take fruit, we'll take juice, however it truly works out.
And I'll just tag on. So what about vegetables?
What about
Do
vegetables?
you process those as well? All the vegetable juices?
We do not know. There's some food safety concerns about that, I did that in a former life. I'll leave that in a former life.
Thank you, Steve. That very interesting conversation and topic. One of Rotary's major international programs is to eradicate polio in the world. In honor and thanks for your presentation to our Rotary Club today, we will make a donation in your name that will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their life. Remember this year's international theme, Imagine Rotary. Thank you. We are adjourned.
All right.
So, Wisconsin, yeah.
Yeah.
I looked that